How's it going, everybody? This is Todd here with Start Your Systems, bringing you another MX vs. ATV Legends video. Today we're going to be covering the new patch that was just released. If you are on PC and PlayStation, you should have the patch already. Sadly, if you're on Xbox, you have to wait till next week sometime to get the new patch. I'll pull up the new patch notes up on screen right now so we can kind of go over them and see what they've changed. We'll kind of skim over the patch notes and kind of pick out a few to talk about and discuss the changes that are being made. So the first thing that I think most people are going to notice is the sliding, obviously. I think that was a lot of people's complaints. That has definitely been reduced. It's not removed, but it definitely has been reduced. That was the first thing that I noticed when I picked up the game after patch, was coming into corners. Sometimes you'd come in like you thought would be, a decent speed, not overly fast. A speed that you feel like you could take a corner and you would just slide for days. It's like riding on an ice rink or something. But now you definitely still have to come into a corner, at a reasonable speed. You can't just come flying into it full throttle and expect the bike to stay planted through it. But it's definitely noticeable. I don't think that they'll ever fully get rid of the sliding. It's inherently just a part of the game, but it's definitely noticeable, and it's something that I think most people had an issue with. So the second point is the errant bouncing after landing. That's definitely something that I noticed when I first started playing the game before patch. You would land awkwardly, or just land. Sometimes you would just land a little too deep off a jump, and the bike would just get a weird bounce, kick, pogo, whatever you want to call it. Another place that I would notice it too is coming into corners that had braking bumps, or any kind of straightaway that had braking bumps. You would just get a weird pogo. The bike would just get unhappy for some reason, and all of a sudden you're just flying over the banner and not making the corner. So it's definitely, again, just like the sliding. It's been reduced, but there's still, I've had moments of it where I've bounced awkwardly, but nowhere near as much as I did pre-patch. Now on to the 125 sounds. The 125 sounds are definitely fixed. I rode the CR 125. It sounds about as good as it should. It's probably the best sounding bike in the game, to be honest, over all of them. I did go and check the 252 strokes just to see if their sounds had been updated, maybe in a ghost patch or something, but they have not. They are still very weird sounding. So hopefully that'll be a change coming up in the next patch. I know a lot of people have been riding a 252 stroke in multiplayer, including me, but I've kind of stopped using them currently because just the sounds are a little rough. So hopefully that'll be in the next patch. So another point in the patch notes that I'd like to talk about is the terrain deformation. One thing I noticed is in some of the supercross races, the terrain deformation was a little too high, especially in multiplayer. The first night we played it, we played a few of the tracks that had some sand sections, and it was insanely rough, like over the top rough. I know that us as, motocross enthusiasts, we want rough tracks, we want to have our own ruts, but there also comes a limit where it's a bit too much. And it was literally after like, 1 or 2 laps, it was already, the erode was pretty insane. It was hard to stick through the sand sections, and not even some sand sections. It was just like regular berms, just hard packed dirt where it would just fall apart. It was a little too much. So I'm glad to see that they've kind of rolled that back a little bit. Now on to the next note. It looks like they've improved the tuning. One aspect of the game that I think everybody's still trying to figure out right now is the tuning. What's fast, what's not, where to put the clickers, where to pull them back. When the game first came out, it looked like the best way to go with the way the physics were was to soften up the suspension. But now I think I've personally, now that the patch is out, I've started running a stiffer setup, and I feel like that's the way to go. I'm sure down the road you'll have all these fast guys and content creators, finding ways to click off a few seconds here and there just because of settings. But for now, I feel like firming up the suspension is the way to go for me personally. And I think that just came with, the physics changes and not being so bouncy. you can now run a stiffer setup without, without fear of getting kicked or rebounded weird off of the breaking bumps or off of landings and things like that. So in their Instagram post, they talked about online stability changes. I definitely have noticed online stability changes, but there also still is some weird things happening when, people join the lobby when the race is already in progress. I've had moments of where people that I'm racing with in the lobby all go like ghosted. They're still in the lobby, you can still see them, but you're just riding through them, they're riding through you. It's just like a weird ghosted feature. There's also has been a few times where when someone does join the lobby, you kind of get like a weird like lag spike. So even though there has been updates to the online stability aspect of the game, I still feel like there's little things that can be tuned and fixed to further make our online experience more enjoyable. As far as things I'd like to see in upcoming patches, first thing for me personally that I'd really like to see is being able to change your controls. Currently, we're stuck with the default controls. There's no options to change things. My main complaint with the current controls is how the shifting is set up. I run manual. I enjoy running manual. I've always ran manual in most of the games that I play. Having that option to fill the bike out, being in the proper gear. Usually you can be faster with manual settings, and currently with the way that you're shifting with the joysticks, it can get a little weird sometimes for me. I'm pretty hard on the joysticks when I play as far as the pressure, and I find myself shifting when I don't want to shift, and I find myself either shifting down too much or shifting in a place where I didn't mean to. I'll be hitting a corner, I'm pushing on the stick, and I'll accidentally click. So that's one thing that I would like to have, is being able to change your settings, make them more customizable to your personal preferences. Personally, I would like to have them X and Y on an Xbox controller. Those are usually my go-tos on every other motocross game that I've ever played. So that's one thing that I would like to see in an upcoming patch. Another feature that I'd like to see would be, more options for customization. More gear kits, more helmet options, more boots, more goggles would be great. I'm sure a lot of other people agree. And also, graphic kits for bikes. I don't know what the deal is with OEM, but it would be great to be able to, put custom graphic kits on OEM bikes. Being able to change the colors of certain parts on OEM would be great too. And maybe even more part options for the bikes as well. But the one thing that I'm glad to see is that they are listening to us. Rainbow is taking the time to, watch videos, look at the comments on their Instagram posts, on their social posts, and taking criticisms and implementing them into updates, which is great. I mean, the game's only been out for a few days. We already have our first patch, which is good. It's a step in the right direction. Is everybody going to like it? I don't know, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. How I see it is like we're kind of in a beta phase. I felt like this was also done with All Out as well, where the game kind of came out in a playable form, but everybody had their complaints and everybody had their changes that they wanted. And they slowly, massaged the game to a point where it kind of fit a lot of people's needs. And I kind of feel like that's where we're going with this game as well. So kudos to Rainbow for listening to us, taking our feedback, our criticisms, and being quick to implement them. It's refreshing to, have that communication with the developer, and hopefully that continues on as the months go on and years go on with this game. I know I talked about a few of the things that I'd like to see in upcoming patches, but I'm wondering what you guys would like to see. Obviously, I'm just one part of the community. You guys are a much bigger part of it. It'd be cool to see, what you guys are looking forward to, what changes you would like to see in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.